Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another few mindful minutes with Dr. Rich Martin. The title of today's video is kind of a play on the old ego commercial, right? Let go my ego. So instead of ego, it's ego. So I want to talk to you today about ego and humility. You see, in fact, I know that humility gets a bad rap in today's society. We put way too much emphasis on what we think is self-confidence, when in reality it's kind of just ego. And then we tend to undervalue humility. And I think there's some confusion because we tend to equate humility with being humiliated. And we see that as a negative, obviously. Nobody likes to be humiliated. But humility is actually a very positive trait, particularly in leadership. And one of the early articles I wrote for publication focused specifically on the fact that humility is a very positive leadership trait. You see, humility is not being humiliated. Humility is simply having an accurate assessment of your own strengths and weaknesses. Humility allows us to see where we're weaker and try to bolster those by surrounding ourselves with people who are strong in those areas. Ego is a falsehood. I like to think of humility as reality and ego as a fantasy, because egos don't allow us to admit where we're weak in, those areas we're weak in, right? Egos tell us we have to always be right, and we always have to be very competent and very strong in every area. So you can see where in leadership and in life, ego can be very detrimental. There are so many case studies out there of military leaders whose egos resulted in them overinflating their abilities and getting a lot of their men killed in battle. In the corporate world, I think the graveyard of corporations, right, is littered with those corporations who are led by very ego-driven people. So don't undervalue humility and overvalue ego. Ego is always going to seek to protect itself. That's think about it, anytime you criticize somebody with a very strong ego, they're going to get very defensive, and we all do it. I struggle with it every day and apologize to my wife, I think, at least once a day for getting defensive. But humility will allow us to take that criticism in the vein that it's intended, learn from it, and get better. It's the very basis of being teachable. If we already think we know it all, then we're not teachable at all, right? But we should always be seeking to learn and grow and develop ourselves. So having that accurate assessment of where we're strong, and we can really focus our energies in our areas of strength, but also understanding those areas where we're weaker in, and allowing others to kind of fill those gaps for us, makes humility a very powerful, positive personality trait to have. So I might be talking more about this week, because to me it's such a key to so many things, and an area in my life where I also struggle, putting down the ego in lieu of greater humility. So thanks for joining me this morning. I hope this was worthwhile. Some food for thought as we start off our new work week. Have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you at more mindful minutes with Dr. Rich Martin. Take care.